Hi, I'm Brian, and in this video today, I'm going to do the Ode to Joy challenge, the Bring Back the Joy challenge, which has been set up by Jakob from Randaros Music World, all the way over the other side of the world in Denmark. I'm in Australia, he's in Denmark. And this is going to be a beautiful opportunity to talk about a few albums that really give me joy, just looking at the cover and listening to the beautiful music inside. It's a thing of joy, it's a thing of beauty, and it's coming up now. One of the things that has always given me joy over the years is finding music that everybody in the family will like. And it was not easy in our family. There was a lot of love of classical music. I was too young to understand jazz, but my sister occasionally infiltrated the record collection that my parents had and put a good one in. And this was the one that I'd like to start with. It's On the Waters by Bread, famous for having the hit single Make It With You, which was covered, of course, by Queens of the Stone Age back in the day when they did Make It With You. And that, of course, is a joke. But maybe they had Bread's song Make It With You in mind to parody it, like Frank Zappa did to Peter Frampton's I'm In You with I Have Been In You. Still, I love that cover. I love the silhouettes there. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And it reminds me a lot of the Doors Waiting for the Sun cover. And then down the bottom, we have the guys playing music. There are some, excuse me, there are some great tracks. How's that? Isn't that, that's joyful. Ruminating at the beach at the end of the day. There's some great tracks on here. The first one I would point out is Why Do You Keep Me Waiting, which opens the side one. It's a total rocker, and it sort of has one toe left in the 60s and one toe in the 70s, which they jumped fully into with the next song, which is Make It With You. I don't know whether they ever rocked nearly as hard as that again, but that first song, if you haven't heard Why Do You Keep Me Waiting in a while, give it a shot. It's a corker. They also rock out a little bit on Blue Satin Pillow, which is the third song on the side. And they've got an epic road song as well, Been Too Long on the Road, to finish side A. It's a really cool side of music, and I hadn't heard it for probably 40 years when the Sunburnt Sailor came across a copy, picked it up for me, a beautiful minty copy back on the old Elektra label, and gave it to me, and it just brought back memories of home, family, and joy. So that's a pretty cool one, Bread on the Waters. Moving up to 1976, this is Local Lads Make Good by Supercharge. Now, I don't know how well Supercharge is known in other parts of the world apart from Australia and the UK, but in Australia they were pretty big, and they were pretty big mainly because they had a huge hit with You Got to Get Up and Dance, and also I Think I'm Going to Fall in Love with. They were really big as well. But these guys absolutely knew how to have a good time. They were joyful. You can tell it's comic just from the cover, and they have made good. This is a big band, as you can see on the back there. We see it again. A big band which brings the funk, the soul, the disco, and a bit of rock as well. We've got wonderful songs on here. Lonely and in Love is brilliant. I Believe in You, Get Down Boogie, all sort of Supercharge staples. And there's a touch of that irreverent humor all the way through the album, which reaches its apogee on the last song, which is called She Moved the Dishes First. Now, it's a song which is a sort of parody of the Drifters and Under the Boardwalk, but still, it's a fantastic album. So, one, again, that brings me an enormous amount of joy is Local Lads Made Good by Supercharge. Check it out. Let's move into the 80s now. And I don't think I've ever shown this before on the channel. It's Duran Duran's first album, and aren't they looking absolutely fantastic there on the front cover? And this album was really kind of revolutionary in terms of bringing in the new romantics into my house, my life, and into Australia. And there are some absolutely brilliant songs on this as well. Girls on Film, I was always a bit disconcerted by that film clip. It was just a bit too steamy for me, I think. But Planet Earth is the huge one for me. I think that is one of the greatest dance songs, rock songs I've ever heard. Anyone out there is great. Don't sleep on the closer, Tel Aviv. It's a magnificent song. These guys really got it right. I know they went on to much bigger success later in the 80s, but to me, this is the one that's pure, and this is the one that always got me up and dancing. And that's what it was like back in those days for me. Went to a party to dance more than anything else, not talk up members of the opposite sex or drink and partake of nefarious substances. None of that. It was all about dancing. And I had a collection of yellow, pink, and teal pastel clothing that I would never wear again. But by God, I thought I was cool at the day. Never went into sort of the swashbuckling mode and dancing in that, or the Little Lord Fauntleroy mode of dress. But had some great times just being in my pink, yellow, and teal self, dancing around the dance floor at parties. It was absolutely fantastic. So, an album that I discovered here is my next one, and also from 1981 is Jukebox Dury. Now, I've toyed a lot with getting into many Ian Dury albums, but this might be a case where I just need the greatest hits. Ian Dury and the Blockheads, should I say. It's got everything I think I need on here, but if I see an Ian Dury and the Blockheads album cheap, I think I'll pick it up and have a go at it. Anyway, I had this on CD for many, many years. It was like a little box set CD. And then I finally found it on vinyl and was very happy to do so. And it has great songs on it. For me, which is Wake Up and Make Love to Me, is incredibly good. What else we got? Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. I'll never forget hearing that with ears afresh when I was in a band in a rehearsal room and hearing how incredibly intricate the song was, yet it still had the funk, it still had the groove, and it was still so powerful and so joyous once more. Also love Reasons to Be Cheerful, Part 3, and Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick, I Want to Be Straight. And did I say Wake Up and Make Love to Me? I'm not sure that I did. But anyway, this is a fantastic album. It's full of humor, full of fun. It's got the great jazz funk in there as well. And the songs which are not desperately, which are a sort of a traditional shout out to the UK, which are also a lot of fun as well. So that's Jukebox Dury by Ian Dury and the Blockheads, brings the joy. Another album, I think the only Australian album I've put on here. I've talked about this on the channel a bit, but I don't know that I've ever shown it. It's Pel Mel's Out to Reason. And this, when I got back into vinyl buying again, is probably could be my favorite pickup, because I wasn't really familiar with the band back in the day. They're a band out of Newcastle, which is north of Sydney in Australia, featuring Judy McGee and Graham Dunn, Dave Weston, and the Incendiary. I spoke about Craig Robertson on my last video, and his bass playing gives me total joy. And I'm going to play a song of this. I think it might be my favorite song, and it's called Blind Lead the Blind, my favorite song from this album, which just features everything. So just stay tuned right to the end, and we'll have a bit of this. I found this copy quite unbelievably in Fremantle, which is on the other side of Australia. I was flicking through their used records, desperately wanted this album, and there it was. And I played it in the shop on the headphones, and it was beautiful. Totally a near mint copy. And interestingly enough, another album that I was desperate for at the time was Underworld's Dub No Bass With My Head Man, and that was there as well. So talk about joy. How good was that? So last album I'm going to show today is from 1986. It is one of my favorite albums of all time, and it's XTC's Skylarking. And this album is total joy from start to finish. Well, there's a bit of sadness at the end, but it's with joy of sadness as well. Finding the silver lining in the cloud type of thing. Of course, it's produced by Todd Rundgren and features basically a cycle of the human life, from falling in love to dying at the end. This one includes Dear God, which is down here, but I don't think that it is taken away the song that was ripped off it when Dear God became a college hit. I think Another Satellite was pulled off it, and there's Another Satellite in there. So I'm really pleased about that. I love the song Dear God, but if you had to if it was on pain of torture, I would want Another Satellite on this album, because that's the first way I heard it. This is a reissue from about 2019. It sounds absolutely beautiful. It's from the what is it? Oh, I can't remember, the Ape label. But when I think of this album, of all their albums, I think this is just an absolutely beautiful one. Like songs like Earn Enough for Us, that's really super, super girl. Summer's Cauldron is magnificent and sets the scene beautifully. And then it flows into Grass, which is so good as well. I'm a huge fan of Dying and Sacrificial Bonfire at the end. Now that I'm saying this, I think that I might have shown this album before on my channel, but it doesn't matter. It brings the joy and the joy of life. So that's it. That's my response to Jakob's wonderful Ode to Joy challenge thread to bring back the joy. And it's been so good to focus my musical listening pleasure on joyful albums, joyful covers, and joyful experiences. And remember that if music of any style, shape, sound, song, or substance gives you pleasure, then who am I to argue with your opinion? If you like this video, please give me a like and think about subscribing because you know you want to. All right, that's it from me till next time. And we're going to go out by listening to Blind Leads the Blind by Pel Mel, a wonderfully joyful song and experience. Until next time, bye now.